Hi guys, welcome back to 100% Mags, and I hope you are all staying safe and well out there. So in this video today, as you might have guessed it by the title of this video, and if you haven't already seen it on other channels and elsewhere on the internet, Amazon Prime, of course, accidentally leaked, or somebody deliberately leaked at Amazon, the last two episodes of We Are Newcastle United. So there is spoilers ahead, of course, for anybody who hasn't seen them episodes. I haven't seen them personally, to be honest, but I have seen the news going around about this, and I do want to give my thoughts on it, before, of course, the final episode does air on the 1st of September. But in the final episode, like I say, spoilers ahead, of course, for anybody that hasn't seen it. In the final episode, Newcastle United's owners and Peter Silverton and Darren Neils, of course, board a flight and go to Germany. Now, we all know what this means. They board a flight, they go to Germany, and it is, of course, then showing footage in the documentary of course, them at Adidas's headquarters in Germany. And I don't need to say any more. Basically, this means Newcastle United will be getting Adidas back as the kit suppliers and the kit manufacturers, of course, for the 24-25 season. So very next season, after this season has ended, Adidas will be coming in as the new kit manufacturers for Newcastle United. We all knew this was coming, especially when we hired Peter Silverstone after what he had done at Arsenal, of course, in acquiring a deal with Adidas for Arsenal. We did know this was coming, and I did see on my channel, of course, as well, that, for the 24-25 season, Adidas were actually talking to Stella McCartney, Paul McCartney's daughter, to, of course, design the Newcastle United kits as well for the 24-25 season. So there was a massive spoiler ahead of time, well before the documentary even aired its first episode on Amazon Prime. So, looking at it, this is a massive deal for Newcastle United. This is a massive deal for us moving forward, because these are a massive sportswear brand. When you look at sportswear brands, it's Adidas, it's Nike, them are the two massive brands in the sportswear business, and nobody out there can get close to these two brands. Adidas is just absolutely fantastic. They've designed the Newcastle United kits in the past, from the 95 season all the way up to the 2010 season, of course, and then eventually Puma came in to do the Newcastle United kits from 2010 up until Castro, of course, took over in 2021. But looking at this deal, like I say, this is a massive deal forward, because this, closes that financial gap very close with, of course, what we would be getting offered from Adidas for the deal. At the moment, as it stands, the current deal that we are on with Castro is currently at a mere 5 million a season. That is really small amount for a Premier League club, when you look at, of course, which I will talk about in a moment, the amounts that other clubs are getting around with, the teams that we are competing against for European places are getting around with. Now, this is all because of, the likes of Mike Ashley, who was at Newcastle United beforehand. He just absolutely killed with commercial revenue, and he just put what on massive 6 to 7 year contracts for absolute peanuts. And when you look at the deal that we're getting from Castro, it's trailing behind the likes of Everton, it's trailing behind the likes of Tottenham and the other heavyweights in the Premier League as well. The teams that we are competing for European places against. Now, Amanda Staveley's already spoke about the financial difficulties and what the owners have had to do to try and get around those financial difficulties, and how hard it has been for the owners to try and, put the investment into the team moving forward. We've already seen, last season, the end of the Fun 88 contract. This will be, of course, the end of the Castro contract. Now, we've always known that it was coming because look at the way Castro's been going on with Newcastle United. You know, they're failing to stock up the stores. The stock's just not there. There's fans not receiving their shirts on time. Some fans receiving their shirts, you know, well and truly late. I know a few people, you know, that have received their shirt from last season at the start of this season, you know, and they're still waiting on this season's shirt to be arriving to their house as well. So, you know, that is how bad it is with Castro. So hopefully, you know, when Adidas does come in, that will obviously change. We all know it will, because Adidas is a massive brand, you know, so they will definitely change that. Deliveries will be made on time. There will be a full stocked up shop, and of course that will probably mean as well that Castro, well, it definitely will mean that Castro will of course hand over the ownership of the club stores to Adidas, which is good. That also benefits we're moving forward. But looking at what the other clubs are getting for their sponsorships now, looking at, of course, what Arsenal got under Peter Silverstone's guidance to get that contract for Arsenal. It's a 60 million a year deal with a German company, of course, and that means that Arsenal pull in a 60 mil a year off, of course, of having Adidas making their kits for them. Elsewhere, you've got the likes of Manchester United, who agreed a 10-year extension to their partnership with Adidas, which will see them pocket 900 million across the length of the contract, making it the largest deal of its kind based on revenue per season. The new deal with the German kit manufacturer, of course, runs until June 2035 and is worth 150 million more than their previous deal for Man United. Then when you look at other sports manufacturers, of course, like Nike, they are paying Chelsea and Liverpool 60 million each a season for their manufacturing deals, while Tottenham receive 30 million for theirs. And Puma's collaboration with Manchester City sees the, of course, Manchester outfit pocketing 65 million a year for their kit manufacturing deal. So it's exciting times ahead. You know, we've already seen Peter Silverstone doing some fantastic stuff in Newcastle since he's come in. You know, we've seen him strike up deals that are on the smaller side, but of course help commercial revenue to be boosted a little bit. We've seen him, you know, get deals with the likes of Monster Energy as well. We've seen him get the deal with Salah, of course, the Saudi Arabian events management, who are on the front of shirt. That's a fantastic deal as well for us moving forward. But this deal will put all of them deals, of course, to the side, because this deal is being rumoured that Newcastle will get 80 million a season off of this deal. That is what I have been saying, rumoured around, that it will be an 80 million per season deal for Newcastle under Adidas manufacturing the kits. And of course, looking aside from how much we would be making in commercial revenue coming in from that, there is also the fact that this is Adidas, not Castro, so it's a bigger sportswear brand. We know that they will stock the shops up, you know, absolutely amazingly. We know that there will be deliveries on time. People won't be complaining about the quality of the shirts neither, because it's Adidas. We will more than likely see some fantastic designs as well, because we have seen it in the past with Adidas. Probably one of the best kit manufacturers in the history for Newcastle. I've got to say, I've absolutely loved when Adidas made the kits for Newcastle, because you knew that you were getting quality for what you were paying for the shirts as well. But this will massively close the gap on them other teams that we are competing for European places against. But moving away from that, we will talk a little bit about, of course, some transfer news as well. I have seen that there is some rumours circulating around for a little while now on Antonio Silva of Benfica. Of course, Newcastle have been looking for a right centre-back, and he would be a player that I'd definitely be interested in seeing play for Newcastle. He's fast, he is very good defensively as well, and he can move forward. He is a mobile defender, so he's a bit in the similar mould to Fabian Shaw, just obviously a lot younger. So he would benefit with, of course, going ahead in the seasons ahead as well. But we'll have to wait and see on that one for the Antonio Silva news, because at the moment it is still very early on that, and of course it's still very early on a few of us as well. And we have seen, Eddie already say in his press conference that the Lewis Hall deal could possibly be the last deal that they do in this window, and we're still yet to see Lewis Hall being announced officially by the club. He has had his medical at Dorsley Park. Of course, as we've seen footage of him going into Dorsley Park with his family. He was at the Etihad, of course, on Saturday night to see Newcastle take on Manchester City, which, of course, there was footage of him leaving the Etihad after the game. But he's still yet to be announced by Newcastle United as a player of the club. I'm sure that will come in time, but let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below about everything that has been said in this video. If you do like the video, then please do hit a like on it, because it does massively help to support the channel moving forward. You can also support the channel by other means as well, by hitting the super thanks button, or you can join the membership. The membership is $1.99 a month. You get perks of a shout out on the channel once a month, and of course you also get priority reply to your comments down in the comments of future videos. And until next time, I'll see you all in the next one. However, lads.